when we were in Philadelphia. Beat Ross Merriam in the finals. Team Delver took care of Storm. We'll see if Ayers can keep it going here, as he is well on his way to making top 8 here with a 10-2 start and up a game.
Stagno, a judge from the Ohio-Pittsburgh area.
Yep.
3-0 today. He actually was 4-2-1 yesterday. 5 straight wins at this point, and kind of all of them have had his top 8 life on the line. This may be his hardest one yet, though, for a Grixis, and this is not Grixis Delver, this is Grixis Control. For a Grixis Control deck, a lands opponent piloted by someone like Daryl Ayers has got to be one of your tougher matchups.
It's got to be really hard, right?
Yeah. Differences with, I mean, what you do get out of a Grixis Control deck is you do have 2 copies of True Name Nemesis. And much like Nimble Mongoose, it is a card that can get the lands player.
Daryl taking a mulligan down to 5 cards here. Stagno's going to start things off with a Nile Spellbomb. A little bit of graveyard hate, something we haven't seen much of in people's sideboards this weekend.
Yeah, well, Spellbomb will be good against the lands deck. We'll see, though. Ayers kept a 5-card hand, and that's pretty typical for lands that they can go down that far in mulligans. The question will be, which of his key pieces does he have? Because of the Spellbomb, Life from the Loam won't really do it. At least not by itself.
Yeah, he'll have to draw another copy.
So he does have Mox Diamond.
Yeah, Ayers trying to figure out even where to start this thing. He's very unsure of himself. Keeps considering playing Mox Diamond. Now he will, discarding Tabernacle, Pendril Veil. Now here's a Thespian Stage. There's a Life from Loam, target the Tabernacle.
I mean, and let's start from a mull to 5. Having Loam plus Mox Diamond is an excellent hand from Daryl Ayers. Chris had an opportunity to get to the Tabernacle out of Daryl's deck permanently. It's enticing, but probably not the right play. One of the reasons you may want to do it is that Tabernacle is one of the few ways that Daryl can get rid of cards like True Name Nemesis. But I think in this situation, with a draw as good as Daryl's, Chris needs to nab that Life from the Loam.
Pithing Needle has arrived. We'll get confirmation on what that is naming. It's going to go with Mox Diamond.
All right, well, that one, we'll confirm that one's on Mox Diamond. That one won't work, though, because it is a mana ability.
Yeah, go on to Mox Diamond. This is very surprising.
It's fine. Yeah, Chris is an he's L2 or L3 judge, I believe. So
yeah.
That is a rules and direction I would expect him to know.
Yeah, does not work on that type of card, one that just taps for mana. So Thespian Stage did copy a land here. I believe it was Grove of the Burn Willows, but we will get confirmation on that as well. And the stage did copy a Grove, so now there are 3 Groves and a Mox Diamond out there.
Well, plenty of colored mana for Daryl. There is the Young Pyromancer on Chris's side, so we'll start getting to get an attack going here. And for Daryl, he has a Loam engine going. Perhaps, no, sorry, the Loam is exiled at the moment. So he just has lands in play. The danger would be that because of the Thespian Stage, he can assemble Thespian Stage Dark Depths just by drawing a Dark Depths or a crop rotation.
Yep.
And Chris has to be aware of that right now.
There's a Brainstorm. Brings the Elemental Token along with it, thanks to the Young Pyromancer.
So the name of the game for Chris Stagno will be trying to stay alive here. We do know from the early Life from the Loam that a Tabernacle is hiding in Daryl's hand.
Oh, we know there's a crop rotation now, too.
Yeah, and this may just be for the Dark Depths half of things, and Chris is aware of this, and that's going to get the Force of Will out of his hand.
As it should. Got to stop the Thespian Stage Dark Depth combo, because that's something that Grixis Control is very, very weak to. Force of Will removing Force of Will took care of the crop rotation. Now Brainstorm's resolving, 3 cards drawn, 2 cards will go back here for Stagno momentarily.
Yeah, and this may be, so going back to this, and this is a spot where maybe some unfamiliarity with the lands deck may have come in. If the Pithing Needle is set to something like Thespian Stage, I don't think Chris has to Force of Will there.
No, I don't think so either.
But it looks like he had 3 Force of Wills in hand. He still has 1 left. I'm not sure he has a blue card to accompany it, but he does have a pretty spicy sideboard card in his hand. If you kept a glimpse of there, it feels like, let me tell you, it's a card I'm not the biggest fan of. He has a Blood Moon in his hand.
Interesting to see what kind of role that card will play in this matchup. Here's another copy of Pith and Needle, so we'll see what this one names.
Blood Moon is a jerk of a Magic card.
It's not particularly nice. Here comes Young Pyromancer.
All right.
This time, Pith and Needle names Thespian Stage.
So he'll get the value out of it. And here, for Daryl, has Tabernacle. That will help him take care of those elemental tokens. And another Magic Origins card. Thinking that the set may, this is the fourth one we've seen this weekend.
Molten Vortex?
Molten Vortex, yeah. The cheaper Seismic Assault. Does require you to pay a red every time you want to use it.
Yep.
But this card could do a lot of damage against Chris.
And that one's not Pith and Needled right now. So, Daryl's going to discard a Wasteland to take care of Young Pyromancer. You saw Chris pay for all the creatures because of Tabernacle.
And Daryl now out of cards as well, so there's going to be top decking. Because of Tabernacle, and so what Chris has to watch over is eventually Daryl will find a life from alone. When he does, things will start to snowball out of hand. In the meantime, Daryl could also find a Punishing Fire, which would help supplement this Tabernacle. So Chris is probably hoping to find a true name Nemesis before that happens.
Daryl going to play a copy of Maze of Ith.
As we know, maybe he'll just Blood Moon. Maybe he can just Blood Moon him.
He's going to continue to pay for the elemental tokens for right now. Elements will come in. One will be targeted by Maze of Ith, so only one will get through. Thespian Stage being stopped by Pith and Needle, so that's not going to happen.
Can't have a second Maze of Ith.
Yeah.
Now remember that Chris probably can't run out the Blood Moon yet because it does a fair amount of damage to his board right now.
Here's a gamble.
And that's not a gamble at all. That's just an entomb for life from the loam. And the loaming will begin here. Or would if Chris did not have surgical extraction for the life from the loam. And a healthy amount of sideboard cards really helping Chris through this matchup.
Yeah, the Nile Spellbomb, the surgical extraction, Needles as well. He's drawn a fair amount of his sideboard cards here, and they are having a real role in this game.
Yeah, Blood Moon to boot.
Yep, hasn't played it yet. But you have to imagine when he does, it's going to be pretty good.
So with the loams out of Daryl's deck and a Needle on Thespian Stage, one of the questions is going to be just how does Daryl win at this point?
He's going to have to draw a lot of lands and throw them at you with Molten Vortex, I suppose.
Yeah, he can throw, if he throws 11 lands, that will work. If he's boarded in an Abrupt Decay or something like that, or Croson Grip is the one he's playing here, he could get rid of the Needle on Thespian Stage. But there are not, I mean, he could Punishing Fire Chris to death.
Yeah, that's an out. Ayers will draw. Another Maze of Ith. All right, tokens are unlocked now. Now I'm curious if Stagno's going to continue to pay for the tokens.
Yeah, well, he found a Flooded Strand last turn, so now he can start fetching up basics in preparation for this Blood Moon in his hand. And I don't know what the exact mana color count is before he decides it's okay to Blood Moon. Maybe he just wants one basic island. Maybe he wants 2 basic islands or basic island. Yeah. He has 2 basic islands and 1 mountain in his deck. So if he has planning to board it in the Blood Moon, I'm assuming he wants to play it in this matchup. And 1 island is likely enough. And you see they're paying for 1 elemental.
And there's Blood Moon.
And yeah. The 1 damage will get in there. Daryl now with a stack of mountains. Can't maze the elemental token. Chris doesn't have to pay for it. And he has Daryl on a 15-turn clock, which sounds silly, but I assure you is real. It'll force Daryl to throw a land at that elemental.
Yeah, it's not as silly as it may seem.
We may be in for a slog here. The end game that Chris has is if he eventually finds his 2nd basic island and a true name Nemesis, Daryl won't be able to answer that. On Daryl's side, he could find a sideboarded Krosan Grip and the 1 basic Forest and start from there. But that's what these players are looking at. They just both have a ton of dead draws outside of this. And so I'm curious to see how this plays out. I think it favors Chris.
I think Chris is a pretty heavy favorite here. He's got manipulation in the form of Brainstorm, Ponder as well to shuffle away with Brainstorm, Cataxium Probe too. He can just see more cards while Daryl is drawing mostly mountains at this point. Molten Vortex does play a role in things a bit here, but I think that Stagno is in a pretty good spot in this situation.
I mean, Stagno can't actually take forever. There is a situation, I mean, Daryl could, no joke, throw 9 lands at Chris with Molten Vortex. But he has found the basic Forest. That's a good start.
Found that pretty quick.
Now, has he boarded in? I think whether or not he wants to play it or discard it depends on whether or not he's boarded in Krosan Grip. If he hasn't boarded in Krosan Grip, there's no reason to play this Forest. He just isn't going to, he doesn't have plays.
It's not going to do anything.
So every card is just shock. And Daryl, a heads up enough player that the fact that he didn't play the Forest makes me think he has no Krosan Grips.
Here's Snapcaster Mage. That's going to target Surgical Extraction. Take your gambles. All right. Had to pay 2 life to do it.
Yeah, wants to see the rest of the deck again. Just make sure. What's important to Chris is to count outs. Going to 16 to cast Surgical there is probably, as far as Daryl's concerned, okay, Chris turned that gamble in Daryl's hand into a shock.
Yeah, which is
the
fine.
Well, it's the only card that Daryl couldn't turn into a shock, so maybe he's happy with that exchange.
Yep.
I'm not certain on Chris's side that Surgicaling, that actually that effect was worth 2 life.
Stagno will draw. We'll see if that comes back to hurt him or not. Ayers is going to have to activate, yeah. Get the Snapcaster Mage off the board, slow down the damage here.
Yeah, I want to point out with how Daryl's playing this. He is on the burnout plan because right now his burn spells race the elemental token. So you see he's willing to burn to use a land to get rid of Snapcaster, but not one to get rid of the elemental token.
Dak Phaeton is taking a Mox, which means that Stagno is getting a little bit better mana now.
Yeah, and perhaps Daryl throws a land at Dak Phaeton. We'll see. He now replays the green source, so maybe he does still have Krosan Grips, but just wanted to wait on playing the Forest because he still had the green off Mox Diamond.
And he also just drew a copy of Crop Rotation.
Okay.
And Dak Phaeton is going up, so Stagno's going to draw 2 and discard 2. A little Faithless Looting action. See what else Chris wants to do this turn. He's starting to take a look through his graveyard too. I know he had seen it dig through time over the past couple of turns. He's got plenty of cards to delve away, and now he has access to 2 blue mana, 1 from the Mox Diamond, 1 from the basic island that's on the battlefield. So,
yeah, another thing to be aware of on Chris Stagno's side is that the clock is starting to get low in this match, and Chris has a draw at this point. So Chris obviously still has to win 2 games. On Daryl's side, he could take a draw here. It wouldn't be bad for him. For Chris, looks like it's going to be Kolagon's Command. That's okay. So for those of you wondering why the Thespian stage can still be activated, by the time the needle is played by Chris, so when Thespian stage copies something, it actually does not. It copies the name as well.
Yep.
So it was a Grove of the Burn Willows with the Thespian stage ability, which is why Daryl is still able to activate it here. Which actually does mean if Daryl draws before the pre-Blood Moon, if Daryl had found a Dark Depths, that still could have worked.
yes. Young Pyromancer now.
More threats from Chris. Unlike Daryl, he has a lot more things he can do with all red mana.
Ayers will draw. There's Dark Depths, which is a mountain.
Right.
The lightning bolt's going to go upstairs.
Yeah, Daryl getting very low on life points here. Yeah, so the Dark Depth still enters with ice counters. He can't remove them. But what that means is if Daryl blows up the Blood Moon, the Dark Depths won't just suddenly die and make a Merit Lich. Much in the same way that I guess enters the battlefield tapped lands still enter the battlefield tapped under Blood Moon. So Chris Stagno takes the second game, and we are on to game 3. A heavy reliance on some pretty big sideboard cards, but that was enough to pull Chris through.
He drew quite a few of them, and they are all high-impact cards that he drew. Pithing Needle certainly plays a role in things, as does Blood Moon and Surgical Extraction. So Stagno able to tie things up against Ayers. They'll get ready for game number 3 here in just a moment between Grixis Control and lands. Take a look at Daryl's sideboard really quickly here, because we were talking about the Crows and Grips that he can draw to. He's got 4 of those, 2 Chokes, 4 Trinispheres, 2 Chalice of the Voids, a Karakas, a Bajuka Bug, and that Molten Vortex. We've already seen the Molten Vortex in the deck. You have to imagine, if Crows and Grip wasn't there before, it's probably coming in now.
Yeah, so the cards that Chris has boarded in, and we saw all of them last game. He has 2 Pithing Needle, 2 Blood Moon, 2 Surgical Extraction, 1 Nile Spellbomb, and 1 Kolaghan's Command. Now, minus the Kolaghan's Command and the Surgicals, that's 5 enchantments and artifacts that are very potent against Daryl's deck. I don't know if he wants 4 copies of Crows and Grip. That's really high. But actually, after seeing something like Blood Moon, I would think he could be... has some grips in, and I wouldn't even be surprised to see the entire set.
Other side here for Stagno. He's got some interesting cards in his sideboard. The 2 Blood Moons, the 2 Pithing Needles we saw, Notion Thief, 2 Surgical Extractions, Engineer Explosive, Flusterstorm, a couple other singletons as well. Anything stand out to you there other than stuff that we obviously already saw?
Well, and that was just it. So we already saw the 8 sideboard cards he has here. As far as that, I mean, we can discuss whether that Vendilion Click is better than something he has in his main deck. Or maybe, whether or not Engineered Explosives is good enough to maybe try to snag a Mox or an Exploration. But those cards, none of them are going to be great. I think that really is going to have to do with, what does he have in the main that he needs to get rid of? 4 Cabal Therapies, for example, in the main deck, those are not in the deck anymore.
No, those are probably long gone. So these players will shuffle up pretty quickly here because we've got about 12 minutes left to go. We'll very quickly talk about the Summer Creature Collection here with Star City Games. We've taken some of our favorite game night creatures. We put them on playmat sleeves and bundles. It's the Piglet, the Monkey, the Kraken, and the Deathrite Salmon. People are really enjoying that one. Again, playmats, sleeves.
Yeah, I like the Deathrite Salmon. That one's good.
And bundles. StarCityGames.com/creature collection for more information. We will, of course, have a autumn collection coming out soon enough, but we'll let you guys get some time to enjoy the Piglet, the Monkey, the Kraken, and the Deathrite Salmon. The Kraken, the Dragon.
The Krakens, the Dragons,
Release the Kraken. That means the Hippo's going to be on a playmat, which I'm super excited about. And there's going to be Hippo sleeves and just Hippos everywhere. Just as it should be. Really just a dream come true. Ayers going to be on the play here. He kind of got rocked there in that last game, but...
Well, the beats just kept coming. From turn 1 Nile Spellbomb, Chris did not let up on Graveyard Hate. It was a Nile Spellbomb, then a Surgical on the first Life from the Loam, then a Blood Moon. This is what Chris needs to do to win.
Exploration is how Daryl's going to start things. I still think this is a pretty favorable matchup for Daryl.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's still going to have a lot of draws like this that are very difficult for Chris to interact with.
There is a Taiga as land number 2. Stagno's going to sacrifice a Flooded Strand. He'll go down to 20. You saw Grove of the Burn Willows give Chris a life. He'll get a basic island, land that cannot be hit by Wasteland.
Heads up play by Chris. What board cards does he have? The difficulty is his deck just isn't fast at all. You see Nile Spellbomb again, that'll help him.
That'll shut down 1 life from the loam. 3 mana. What's next? Oh, choke.
All right, well, if Chris is going to play dirty, Daryl can do the same thing.
Yep.
turn 2 choke on. Yeah, if Chris won't cooperate and play a non-basic land, if he's going to play a basic island, well, then Daryl will just have to choke it.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Whoa.
And wow, that will get the concession. If you look at Chris's side, looking at Chris's mana base, 2 islands, 3 volcanic islands, 1 mountain, 3 underground sea. Choke is going to do it.
Oh.
He doesn't have a way to remove an enchantment.
Okay.
He didn't have a counter spell.
And he concedes the game very, very quickly off of a turn 2 choke. Daryl Ayers is going to win this match over Chris Stagno. Stagno knowing there's no way he can get out of that situation. He concedes very, very quickly. So congratulations to Daryl Ayers on the win. I did not expect to see a concession come that quickly there from Stagno, but he feels he cannot possibly beat a choke. So Daryl Ayers will win the match and move on to 11-2.
You know, and it's a little premature. I mean, he's doing a